In the early days of the Clone Wars, Christophsis quickly became a battlefield, with the Separatists attempting to seize the strategically important world from Republic control. Following an effort in orbit led by a stealth ship, which ultimately ended up shattering the Separatist blockade, Republic reinforcements were able to be delivered to the surface of the planet to aid the embattled defenders on the world. The Republic reinforcements were members of the 212th Attack Battalion, as well as the 501st Legion, led by Jedi Generals Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. With the arrival of the Jedi reinforcements, Republic troops could now begin carrying out various attacks against Separatist troops in the area. This included a series of ambushes designed to slowly whittle down the Separatist troop numbers. However, these ambushes were quickly discovered, and it was found out shortly thereafter that Republic forces had a mole in their midst. As investigations narrowed in on the suspected traitor, the traitor was able to sabotage a vast amount of Republic military equipment. This included a lot of their small and heavy arms, as well as a good portion of their vehicle reserves, mostly LAAT gunships and ATTE walkers. To add to this, a large Separatist force was now mustering to carry out an assault on Republic command. Using the equipment they still had at their disposal that hadn't been sabotaged, Republic forces set up a defensive perimeter. This perimeter consisted of 4 AV-7 anti-vehicle artillery cannons, which formed the backbone of the Republic defensive force, a handful of surviving all-terrain tactical enforcers, or ATTEs, and the remaining infantry forces of the 501st and 212th. Republic forces were set up in the city center, where the artillery cannons were set up in the rear, with the ATTEs ahead of them, and the infantry out front, intending to meet the enemy first and foremost. As Separatist forces began what would essentially amount to a large frontal assault against the Republic defenders, they quickly found themselves under heavy artillery fire by the AV-7 cannons. Unable to advance through the intense shelling being carried out by Republic troops, the droid advance quickly ground to a halt. On top of this, the Separatist forces that had advanced forward to meet the Republic infantry were ambushed from behind by a group of clone troopers led by Anakin Skywalker. This meant that the Separatist forces at the front were now dealing with assaults from 2 directions. Unable to break through the heavy artillery fire, Separatist forces were forced to withdraw, pulling back to their staging areas and setting up a shield generator. During this lull in the battle, there was an attempt carried out by the Venator-class Star Destroyer the Resolute to deliver reinforcements to the embattled ground troops. However, it was quickly discovered that the Separatist blockade over the planet had been reconstructed, and a reinforcement drop was deemed unfeasible, with the Resolute being forced to retreat out of system. However, while the Resolute was in orbit, the troops on the ground were able to inform Republic command of their dire situation, and a rescue mission was quickly organized involving a much larger Republic fleet. However, before Republic reinforcements could arrive, the Separatists began a second assault. Separatist forces would advance under the cover of the shield generator, with its radius being expanded slowly as Separatist troops moved forward. This would protect the advancing Separatist columns from Republic artillery, and force more creative strategies from the Republic forces attempting to prevent their advance. Anakin Skywalker and his new Padawan Ahsoka Tano were tasked with disabling the shield generator, while Obi-Wan Kenobi remained behind with Republic forces to oversee the defensive operations. The decision was made to attempt to lure Separatist forces into street-to-street fighting to minimize the effectiveness of their heavy armor, mostly AATs and NR-99 Persuader-class droid enforcers, more commonly known as snail tanks. Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano hid under a piece of garbage and allowed Separatist forces to pass over them, allowing them to enter the Separatist energy shield and sneak their way towards the shield generator. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi carried out an ambush on the advancing Separatist forces, leading them into narrow alleyways and forcing them to fight street to street, house to house. This distracted Separatist forces and slowed their advance towards the cannons, the fear being that if Separatist forces were able to reach the cannons under the cover of the shield generators, they would be able to simply destroy the cannons at point-blank range, with the heavy artillery pieces being essentially useless. On top of that, at this point, it appears that the entire garrison of ATTEs present on the planet at the start of the battle had been lost either to sabotage or enemy action, resulting in the fact that those artillery guns are basically the only heavy armament the Republic have at their disposal. In an effort to protect the artillery guns, lines of infantry were set up along the road leading to them in an effort to slow the Separatist advance long enough for the shield generator to be disabled. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan Kenobi's forces were overrun, and he was taken captive by Separatist leadership, where he feigned an effort to surrender, something that, by the way, is a war crime. This was with the intention of stalling the Separatist advance further and buying more time for Anakin and Ahsoka to disable the shield generator. Something they were ultimately able to do When the two Jedi arrived at the shield generator, they found it guarded by a number of LR-57 combat droids, which had been buried underground. After dispatching the droids tasked with defending the generator, charges were placed on the shield generator itself, and it was simply destroyed. With the destruction of the shield generator, the shields fell quickly, and Republic artillery guns were able to come to bear on the advancing Separatist columns. To add to the quickly turning situation, it's around this time that a much larger Republic force, consisting of 3 Venator-class Star Destroyers and 5 Acclamator-class assault ships, arrived in system, with the intention of breaking through the Separatist blockade. Lacking the leadership of Admiral Trench and the raw firepower of his flagship, Republic forces were able to quickly breach the Separatist blockade, and the 5 Acclamator-class assault ships were able to descend to the surface. With the arrival of Republic reinforcements and the loss of the shield generator, making their forces vulnerable to Republic artillery, Separatist forces were forced to withdraw for a final time. With the arrival of a much larger Republic force, the Republic now had a numerical advantage on the surface of Christophsis, and the remaining Separatist forces on the planet were forced to either withdraw from the planet or be completely destroyed at the hands of advancing Republic troops. This led to the conclusion of the Battle of Christophsis, one of the first battles of the Clone Wars in canon that could be considered a definitive Republic victory. With Christophsis firmly in the hands of the Republic, it became a symbol of the Republic's ability and intentions to defend the planets and people of the Outer Rim from the advancing Separatist menace. Still, the action that occurred on the surface is only half of what is considered the Battle of Christophsis, and if you'd like to learn about the other half, which occurred when Republic forces first breached the Separatist blockade in orbit, I'll leave a link in the upper right-hand corner to the battle analysis video on that. And if you have any other battles you'd like to see covered in future episodes of Battle Analysis and added to the archive, you can leave that down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.